Jumbo, fellow adventurers, had a little glitch again this morning, a couple of minutes late. Thanks for bearing with me. And thanks so much for the amazing interaction and engagement I had yesterday when I asked whether or not you think it's suitable or too cheesy for me to greet you each day with a jumbo, the Swahili hello, which means to adventurers, I'm glad our paths have crossed. Overwhelmingly, like 99 out of 100 responses were enthusiastically on board. So, hey, you're going to get it a little bit more. I appreciate that. It could have gone either way. And I realized that maybe there were more against it who just didn't want to make me feel uncomfortable, so they didn't vote. But I'm glad and I'm enthused. And here we are for a Friday, ready to dive into another spiritual tune-up, and this time with another great question posted by viewers. Please post your questions below on Facebook or Instagram, and I pick the next day's topic based on yesterday's posts. So, okay? Now, the question is getting high okay? Plant medicine. And what about Alcoholics Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, and their famous 12-step programs? So I get to share a little bit of everything on this. I will save my own experiences, which are probably irrelevant, to the end of this little tune-up. So first, let's just go into alcohol and pot. Hey, in moderation, under the proper conditions, as an adult, I think there is no harm. It is certainly not unspiritual to relax and unwind with a glass of wine, a cigar, maybe even a cigarette in moderation. I think there's no problem there. I would like to suggest, and I've seen this play out in my own life, that it can become quite a distraction. I'm not talking about addictions. I'm talking about, instead of contemplative thought, instead of turning to a book, instead of picking up the phone and calling a loved one, you kind of zone out in your own little buzzworld. And there's a place for that. So in moderation, I think it's perfectly fine, alcohol and marijuana. Second, ayahuasca. As I understand it, I haven't done it, and other forms of plant medicine, I gather they are a very viable way to achieve, in some cases, helpful and pleasurable altered states. Again, only for adults, only with supervision, only in moderation. I've also heard tales that it was quite damaging for the people who have done it. So do you really need to go there? I think the most important thing to realize is that which you are aspiring to through intaking plant medicine is unquestionably achievable without plant medicine, just as the distractions of alcohol or pot will draw you away from your own ability to get high on life. This is most certainly true with plant medicine, which is not to say that plant medicine doesn't have perhaps a very valuable place in certain circumstances for helping folks. To the person who would say, well, you say I can have an altered state without ayahuasca, but Mike, I really can't. And if that's you, I would say then maybe you're not ready. And for myself as well. Look, we all came from an altered state where we saw everything. We were everywhere. We were beyond time and space. And from there we came here. We came here to put on the blinders so that we would be dealing with the illusions that would give rise to our emotions, and we could learn all of these wonderful, amazing things that you can only learn within the illusions. So if you're in the illusions and you're being frustrated, it means there's more to learn. That doesn't mean it's time to go to the other side, either through plant medicine, suicide, or other means. Maybe you can just chill out and master better without hallucinogens, the challenges that are now before you. But again, I'm sure there's a valuable place in some cases for some people to experiment with those under the right circumstances. I'm excited to talk to you about AA and NA and their famous 12-step program. You know, Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous. I have not gone down the path of addiction in those elements. I was a big-time cigarette smoker. I know a little bit about addiction. But because I teach and have been teaching for 20 years that we are powerful, that we are not vulnerable, as I've defined vulnerability 3 days ago, that we have dominion over all things, some in my audiences have very interestingly and adeptly pointed out that in the 12-step program advocated by Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous, there is one of the steps, I believe it's the very first step, is a surrender and an acknowledgement of your power over the addiction. I did a Google this morning. We admit we are powerless of our addiction. That's a bit different than my message to the diametrically opposed opposite of mine. We are all powerful, and I would say you are powerful over your addiction, but there's a very fine line here that is worthy of bringing up so that you can reconcile these, because hats off to AA and NA for the lives they have unquestionably saved. Maybe the 12-step program isn't for everyone. I cannot opine on that. But clearly all of us know that it has saved innumerable lives. So it is worth reconciling this tenet of claiming you're powerless when I tell you to be anchored in truth and realize you are all powerful. It is so simple to do this. The presumption is that if you have an addiction, AA and the 12-step program wants you to realize that if you go there, you're going to lose. Well, you know what? If I go to the edge of a 50-story building and step off, I'm going to lose. Does that mean I'm powerless to gravity? Or am I powerful and wise enough to not put myself at the edge of a building? I am powerful over any substance that would like to nail me to the cross through addiction by avoiding it and not imbibing it. So I think if you make that simple distinction, then you can recognize and rightly claim that you are all powerful over all substances because you know how to avoid them, and you're not going to go there, and you're not going to stoop beneath your standards. And so there, I think I've made the reconciliation. As to myself, from age 25 to 40, I smoked cigarettes. I totally addicted. Quitting it was one of the hardest things I've ever done. I failed on numerous occasions. But ultimately, you're just sick and tired of being sick and tired, and you're just fed up with trying to quit something for 10 years. And you're just like... So I did the Master Cleanse, a 12-day fast. Maybe I'll talk about that one day. And it's great for becoming a vegetarian, which I am. It's great for quitting any habits, which I did, and suddenly I used that as a trick to change my life and drop cigarettes forever. I did continue smoking cigars, and in fact, I've smoked cigars from the age of 40 until about 6 months ago. About one cigar a day, and I've enjoyed alcohol in moderation my entire adult life. Easily since I was 30, I've had a beer or more a day until about March of this year. And at some point, you've been there, you've done that. It's like, how great is getting a buzz on a beer at the end of the day when you know you can go higher in vibration without that distraction. And so it coincided with COVID. It had not directly, but indirectly, that I dropped a virtual lifelong habit of a beer a day at the end of the day and a cigar a day. I'm not saying you should do that, but I did tell you I would speak to my experiences here. I have never done any kind of plant medicine and have little to share. And because I feel like I can go there and will go there eventually when I'm fully ready without those substances. Not that I might not change my mind in 6 months, but so right now I'm as pure as can be. Why? Not to be because I want to open the door for higher vibrations that can be achieved without. And I'm not saying anybody else should do the same. So, wow, happy Friday. Smoke on that. Have an amazing weekend, the best weekend of your life. Thanks for letting me do this every day. I'm having a blast. Jambo and tally-ho, amigos. Post your questions below today and over the weekend, and I may get to them next week. Thanks for tuning in, everybody. On Facebook, we got Sammy, Judith, Nancy, Nicole. Love you all. Susan, Lanice. And then on Instagram, we got Trotter and Animal Reiki Lady and Habibi. All right, all of you, thank you, thank you. See you on Monday. Taleho, amigos.